So the mania around scooters seems to have died down a little bit. So why come in with this much money at a $2 billion valuation?
Oh, that's interesting. We have not seen the mania die down. In fact, over 2018, we saw probably the fastest consumer adoption of a new technology that I've ever seen, which is exactly why we dived in to figure out what's happening in this space. I think the reason that people are very interested in this is that the reality is our cities are not set up for the future. We're seeing lots of congestion, and certainly the rideshare companies know that a lot of these trips are being done in the last mile. And so we decided to take a deep dive into the micromobility space and figure out if there was something to invest in. And at Bain Capital Ventures, we really like investing in early stage startups who are really transforming major industries, so this just felt like a clear area for us to understand.
What about the competition from Uber, from Lyft?
Yeah.
Got deep pockets and are established.
Yeah, definitely something a lot of people are thinking about. When we dug in, what we found was that actually managing a ride-sharing company, which is really a marketplace between drivers and riders, is very different from managing a physical fleet of e-vehicles. And so while they certainly know that there are a lot of their share is in this last mile, first mile, which frankly aren't really great experiences for consumers or for drivers, these shorter trips. So we know and expect that they will get involved, and indeed Uber actually invested a bit in Lime. But managing the complex operation of a scooter fleet such that Lime does is a very different and challenging business to be in.
Now, the other day I was walking across the street and I saw this guy on a scooter and he was going pretty fast, and then he totally ate it, like fell off the scooter, fell over, and I thought to myself, well, whose problem is that if he gets hurt? I mean, there are safety issues here. Mm-hmm. There are certain risks associated with this business. Who's going to be responsible for those risks?
Certainly. Certainly any provider of scooters has to make sure they're putting really safe scooters out on the road, and that's something that Lime has been very committed to and has shown over time.
But what about reckless driving?
Well, same thing that you would see with reckless bike riders, reckless drivers. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to provide a safe vehicle and encourage people to wear helmets and make sure that there's the right infrastructure.
Is Lime on the hook?
I don't think if it's not about the vehicle, certainly if it's the driver or the rider who's been irresponsible in the way they've used the vehicle, similar to how we would treat an automobile accident.
So look, there are the safety issues, there are the weather issues, does this really work in winter, or it's pouring down rain outside right now? Which obviously leads to a growth issue. What about all of those headwinds? Yeah, so winter, I kind of like to say that we're in V1 of winter, if this were like a product. So we've learned a lot over the winter, and certainly will be even better next year. What's been interesting to see is that actually it's a lot more about precipitation, so snow or rain, than temperature. So a lot of people assume that colder temperatures would depress demand. That's not actually the case. What's the case is if there's rain or snow. If you think about it, if you're in the middle of Chicago and it's windy out and it's cold, you'd like to get there as fast as possible. If you could use a scooter to do that, you would do that. I used to ride my bike to school when I went to Madison for college in the middle of January. So micromobility can work in the winter, but certainly in precipitation you have to be careful. And you're a big scooterer yourself.
I am.
Why? What do you like so much about it?
Well, certainly personally in San Francisco, I've experienced that traffic congestion has gotten much, much worse. I think anyone in a lot of major cities has experienced this. So I personally actually take Caltrain all the way up to the city to commute. And when I get off the Caltrain, I look for a scooter or an e-bike and have found it to be a far faster way for me to get to work than with the bus. And it's actually fun. It's really fun to be able to start my day riding a scooter around the Embarcadero. It's a great way to start the day.
Are you at all worried about the safety and durability of the scooters?
I am not worried about the safety. I personally haven't experienced any concerns around that. What I do think is really important, and probably the biggest key to safety, is that cities are thinking about how do they create the infrastructure to enable what is inevitable, much more micromobility in the future.
So do you think this is like the next Uber? Is it that big?
I do.